Thanks for taking my question. One thing everyone who's come up in Alaska has been kind of conditioned to think is, or to fear, is Ted Stevens being removed from his seat.
Glad you're asking. I was going to summarize on this. Good.
Yeah, and I'm surprised no one's asked this yet, but really, what do we have to fear? What's the impact to the congressional delegation?
Thank you.
If you win the election?
Thank you. It's the question everyone wants to ask, but no one wants to ask it. So I was going to summarize with that, so thank you for asking. He was not a setup. I just want you to know that. We have not met before. So, it's like a magic trick. We have not met before. I honestly don't believe we should fear anything, and here's why. I'll give you a couple statistics that are very important to put kind of in the back of your mind. As the end of this election cycle, when November 4th hits, in the last 6 years, 30% of the United States Senate would have changed hands in 6 years. Lisa Murkowski, in less than 6 years, is the ranking committee member of Interior. At the end of this year, she'll be the ranking member of Energy in a very short time. Why? Because the Senate is changing radically. More people are retired and leaving. Things are swiftly changing back there. The second thing I'll tell you is a statistic. And I actually had a young man at the university in Anchorage come to me, and he comes up to me, he just rushes over to me, and he says, "I like you." I said, "Great." And he says, "But I can't vote for you." I thought, okay. And he looks at me and he says, "You know, I got to vote for the Republican for exactly the reason you said." And I asked him a question. I said, "Name me a couple of things that are very important to where we are as a state today. Go back in history and name me 2 things." And he says, "Well, the oil pipeline." I said, "Good. Brought a lot of wealth, did a lot of things for us. Alaska Native Land Claims Act. Great. Another big issue." And then I looked at him and said, "You know something what's interesting about that? Is when those 2 items passed, both of our U.S. senators were freshmen, and our congressman was a freshman. And it was bipartisan, because they focused on Alaska issues first. Unlike what we face today, where it's partisan bickering, Republican versus Democrat, they focused on Alaska issues. Fast forward to today. Freshman from Virginia, Webb, Senator Webb, in 2 years, he passed landmark legislation for veterans benefits for education that everyone told him would never happen, the new GI Bill. They said, "It's not going to happen. Don't waste your time. You're a freshman." I said, "Really?" He said, "We're going to see what happens." And in 2 years he passed it. Why? Because the people who are serving today are different than the way it was in the days back gone by. The senators that are coming in today are about getting solutions, bringing new energy, and getting results. They're not interested in this partisan bickering. Yes, I'm a Democrat. I'm going to disagree with the Democrats at times. They're wrong on ANWR, they're wrong on gun rights, and I'll disagree with them. But we're going to sit down and we're going to move issues forward. That's what it's about. And we have a moment in time right now. This acceleration that's occurring with so many changeover in the Senate will probably diminish at a certain point, because a lot of those who are retiring are going to be gone. So the question is, do we make that decision now? Because we're going to make this decision sooner or later. You can't deny it. That's just a fact. I know people don't like to hear me say that, but that is just the way life is. So we have to make a decision. Is this the moment? I believe it is, because 1, I'll be in the majority. 2, if I win this election, you can rest assured they're going to make sure that I win my re-election, which means the list of things I'm going to give them, they're going to have to fulfill, because they will not want to lose this seat in 6 years. They will work double time. And our power is waning now. Denali Commission has lost, in the last 2 years, less appropriation, because the power is diminishing. Our delegation is no longer in, Senator Stevens is not in any committees. He's not a ranking member of anything. He's been stripped of all that. It is a changing dynamic in Washington, D.C. And it is incumbent upon us to figure out, is this the moment? Is this the time? I believe it is, because I bring a different style, a different approach, and it's truly time to move Alaska forward. And I believe we're not going to risk. We're going to have opportunities that we don't have today, because 1, I'll be in the majority, and 2, they'll want to see a re-election, and 3, the freshmen of today are different than the freshmen of let alone 6 years ago. And the change is here. It's a question of we can be part of it. So thanks for asking that. And I'll end on that. Thank you very much. And if you do have additional questions, you can go to begich.com. That's my website. Feel free.